Friends, Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. How was your Seder? How about your Easter? Are you free now of fear and sin? How was your Masters Sunday? Although I guess it won't be long till we can't refer to that tournament as the Masters anymore. And of course, this week marks certain occasions. It's tax day in the United States, and it's tax time in North America anyhow. And with spring being in the air and the Masters tournament over, it's now ushered in golf season. These are the events and the flowers popping up everywhere. It tells us that spring has now sprung. Now, there are rituals people go through that mark time. People switch their tires when winter's over. They prepare their summer vacation plans. Wedding season begins. Now, this year, there's still a few carryovers from COVID time. But most of the weddings are new couples wanting to form families united in a spiritual fashion. So congratulations to all you couples getting married this year. It is a special time for each and every one of you. Now, last week was an unusual week. Yes, we had the two holidays, the twin festivals of freedom, but it was one of two what's known as Chol HaMoed periods, and that's Hebrew for intermediate days, because the holidays, which last a week, have at least one Sabbath, which therefore suspends the regular reading of the Torah for the holiday. But just so you don't feel maltreated, our sages threw in repeat supplemental readings to keep you happy. So every week there's a reading of one kind or another. It's just not the same order as it would be every other week. And one of the special rituals that we went through as we closed out the Passover and Easter season, we do this 4 times a year. It's the Yizkor, the public mourning. It's the time to say a prayer, light a candle, elevate the soul of somebody you love. Bring their spirit love. Everybody. Every soul, every spirit, every one of us needs somebody to love. When the truth is found, there'll be lies and all the joy in you dies. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Would you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love. Love. It's so important to honor the memory of those who came before. Someday, one last person will remember you for the last time. And from that day forward, no one ever will. Think about that reality and make your mark in this world. Your deeds and your legacy can live on, my friends. And this week, we also saw Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. It is a commemoration for the 6 million. Light a candle for them. Our deeds and our legacy are part of our coming together as a society. We expect decency among people. We respect our differences. We honor our similarities because we're all connected to each other, just as we're all connected when we come together in a showing of unity, as we honor all of us, those the same, those that are different, as we put our differences aside to form communities. When we get together as a collective consciousness of seeker showing faith, any and all faith, love, any and all love, a true chavura fellowship. As we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all. In this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay. Even though together, we are each individual in our approach, each connecting in his or her or their own way. So once again, please do go ahead, invite everybody in. Physically, digitally, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever ways you want to gather and share from Psalm 133, the Hine Matov. Come together. Hine Matov. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. Let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Remember, friends, this is you setting aside just a little bit of sacred time in your own sacred space to honor and converse with whatever you happen to believe in, because we all believe in something. It's part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It's your goodwill. And goodwill and intention are the roots of what you control in life, of what you can correct. It's your intention that sets in motion everything that occurs in your lives. So let's take some time now. Let's use that intention. Let's some of that goodwill, some light, some healing out to whoever you know that needs it. Healing and renewal for everybody. Float through space, finding those in need. So send it out for those you know and for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. So think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love, or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people. It is for our pets. It is for the earth. It is the healing of the world. The tikkun olam. It's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. We have to help heal the world. We must each do what we can to improve and change our own little corner of the world. As we change ourselves, we change the conditions of life. A part of that healing of the world is when we send these thoughts and energy for health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick. It's for those in our hearts and our minds. Let's all send energy out for the people in need everywhere. Special thoughts and prayers for those who are in medical conditions. Because we pray for those who need prayer. Because prayer is an effective method of communication with God, of entreating, of helping ourselves and others. We don't have to know them. We want health, recovery, goodwill for everybody around us. For Ginny, for Ryan and Barry, for Jenna and Lisa, for Lorene, Jamie, Cheryl, for Doria, for Snoopy, for poor Terry suffering so much, for Gloria, for Johnny, Connie and Ronnie, for Nina and Danny, for all those suffering and in need. Let's not forget to include the familiars of our lives, the sacred animal friends who are with us everywhere we go. For everybody you know, my friends, everybody in need, for the whole world, for Devorah. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes, the goodwill and love we all send out. It just circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because the world is a world of spirit, and spirit, my friends, never dies. Me, Shabbat, Avotenu, Makor HaBracha, Limotenu. May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Yishaberach, let us all have our spirits renewed. This is the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal as His healed before. Mishaberach, may He be blessed, because all healing is a blessing. Let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. Now, when we last left off, it was at a watershed moment. Leviticus had just begun and only has two narrative accounts. The first is the story of the consecration of Aaron and his sons to the priesthood of Israel, where we are now. It's a lengthy and detailed account. Most of the ceremonies that it describes have already been presented as commands that God gave to Moses. Now the fulfillment of these commands is narrated, because from this point on, Moses will no longer be doing the sacrifices. Aaron and the priesthood will. The details of the rituals are impressive. As we picture Moses placing the priestly garments one by one on Aaron, then picture him anointing first the tabernacle and its contents, then the altar, then Aaron. Next, he has Aaron's sons clothed. Then the inaugural sacrifices of the priesthood are described, with details on Moses' slaughtering of a bull and 2 rams, and his dabbing of their blood on the altar and on the right ears, thumbs, and big toes of Aaron and his sons. We are there. We have been sitting, waiting. We have observed all the rituals. We are witnesses to the first ordination ceremony in history, the creation of what many say turned into a praetorian guard. It's now the 8th day, as we read Shemini, 8th, and see the creation of this priesthood and the new rule that will be undertaken. These are special people. These are now the riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Into this house we're born. Into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone, an actor out on loan. Riders on the storm. Now, what no one realized at the time was this was an event which changed religious practice permanently, and with it ushering in the official formalization of God's praetorian guard. The praetorian guard we know from Roman times, but this was the first. Now, you may not know it, but we're actually halfway through the Torah. Congratulate yourself for making it this far, my friends. For some, it's perhaps their very first time with the Bible. For others, maybe you're 3,000 and something. And I bet without studying, you've all learned something new each week. Maybe you even saw how these words from thousands of years ago can still resonate within your soul today. We're now watching something special, a new breed created. Now, remember last week I told you that before there was any liturgy, any prayer service, any formal observation, because there was no religious perspectives, there was just a simple and easy daily routine. It only had two pieces. The recitation of what became known as the Shema, the ode to monotheism. There's only one God. And isn't that what it says? Isn't that what most of us have always believed? And the reference to Israel in the prayer was not about a place. It is about anyone who has struggled with God, which is just about everybody on earth. So when you think about it, you hear the words of it. Listen, any of you who have struggled with belief, with faith, God is God. Whatever name you choose, Lord, God, Creator, Spirit, whatever name you like, is it alone the source of all emanation. Now, that's an incredibly powerful statement of supreme power. He didn't need anything else. That was it. It was the honoring of the creative energy of the universe. That simple acknowledgement was stated along with the 10 things, the 10 words, the 10 declarations, the 10 commandments, Asheret HaDevarim, those words. No other gods, no images or likeness of God, no swearing on God's name, remembering to cease and rest, honor your roots, do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not be a false witness, do not covet. What in that list would you not be willing to do? What in that list would you not expect others to not do? Isn't that a pretty good package of behavior? And that's all you needed. You didn't need what this group that was about to take over became. And these little rules was being bestowed on the small elite group about to become priests for themselves, for the people, for God. But it became bigger than that. This was a big event. It was special. It was public. So shortly after the Great Epiphany, God was once again going to appear in front of the people. Leviticus 9:24. And fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fats on the altar. And all the people saw. They shouted. They fell on their faces. The first of the sacrifices, and we read an incredible description of it. Now, this generation is the only one in history to experience the miracles, the glory, and even the anger of God on a daily basis. They see this event. The all-consuming fire is a very important term for explaining what the people would see, because it was magical, it was special, it was all-consuming. And then, right afterwards, Leviticus 10:1, Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, each took his fire holder, and they put fire in them, set incense on it. They brought forward unfitting fire, which he'd not commanded them in front of the Lord. And fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed them. And they died in front of God. The exact same words, the exact same description as the sacrifice on the altar. And fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed the burnt offering. And fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed them. Same description. Were they a sacrifice? think not. Do we know their crime? Not really. We can surmise it was inappropriate fire. And this, of course, is in relation to the incense burning, which it tells us. But it reinforces what we talked about a few weeks ago, when our good friend Dave Watts had his birthday. And we learned that our level of expected piety increases the closer to God we are. So the closer to God, the higher the level of piety we should be experiencing and we should be demonstrating in our lives. These were the first priests. They were the closest to God, and therefore they had to be almost perfect. They weren't. Now, this ends story time. Like I said, there's only 2 stories. This is one of them, but this is the end of the story with the death of them. We now suddenly go to a list of laws again, and we receive the first of the complex kashrut laws, the laws of food, and what is and is not allowed. Leviticus 11:2. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, "This is the animal that you shall eat out of all the domestic animals that are on the earth." Now notice that the list now given is a simple list. You can eat this, you cannot eat this. We're not told why. And isn't that the real question we always face? Why? And that's the question, my friends, that perhaps is not asked enough. It is the deepest of the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. We often ask why. We rarely get an answer. And don't just take because as an answer. It's not an answer. You have a right to always ask and to know why. Why don't we do it in a row? Why don't we do it in a row? Why don't we do it in the road? Why don't we do it in the road? No one will be watching us. Why don't we do it in the road? Why don't we? Why? Don't stop asking why. The laws of permitted and forbidden animals adds further restrictions to the sacrificial laws. God requires not only ritual slaughter, priestly performance, and location at the tent of meeting, but God delineates to Moses and Aaron which animals may be eaten as well. And notice the distinction of terms used now. From this point on, permitted, forbidden. It's going to be said time and time again with slight modification, but with similar meanings. Pure, impure, clean, unclean. And all of this echoes back to creation, everything from separation and division. I'm not going to go through the list. It is confusing still to this day. And many of the translations of animals, birds, and fish are actually just guesses. We don't know what they were. But suffice it to say it ends, Leviticus 11:46. This is the instruction, Torah, for animal and bird, every living being that moves in the water, and for every being that swarms on the earth, to distinguish, lahabdil, between the impure and the pure, between the living thing that is eaten and the living thing that shall not be eaten. It is this distinction, it is this separation. The larger purpose of coming to an understanding of Leviticus is to note the fact of distinction and how seriously and pervasively it developed here in regard to a basic function of life, like eating. How much has this idea of division, distinction, segregation, separation contributed to our ongoing view of life? How difficult it can be not to distinguish when everything has been based on distinction. Try not to distinguish. How much does this foster our view of opposites, the world we live in? Do we see it as clean and unclean, permitted, forbidden, right, wrong, black, white? We now see the world in opposites because of this. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, an end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we're a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other, we share this right together, men and women equally. So let's all send out love, not fear, send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey, because we take the twists, turns, and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our efforts to grow, to learn to be to love. So please do love. God bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intention. Use them to imprint your will on the universe, because we set in motion all that happens in our lives. It is our intention. Our kavanah, our cause, our effect, everything's linked. You always have time to forgive and be forgiven. You have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness. But do so with sincerity, with accountability, with vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you. You should learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace, my friends, is in acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people in the world just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? Because if you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. It is your home. Keep on dreaming. Keep on being. Keep sharing. Keep shining. Keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear. Follow love. It's always in front of you. Remember to have faith, an unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in the principle of love and of all of you. Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none. Defraud none. Hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year. May you nurture love and kindness wherever you go. Work to be present in the body, my friends. Expand your heart and quiet your minds, because the deepest source of real power lies in your consciousness and your ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. So make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you, because you're never alone.